Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you on the 20th of July 21. Time on deck is 5100 hours Central Daylight Time. And I had a viewer ask me, Greg, how do I start a homestead? So I'm going to tell you how to start a homestead starting for $500 or less at minimum and how to scale that up. But you know, first we got to consider what is a homestead and what are some of the key essential elements, things you got to have and don't got to have, things you want to have, your aspirations. It all depends on your goals more than anything, but you got to set down your goals, see what they are, see what's realistic for you first and foremost. Now, a homestead at its basic, I'm going to blow the skeeters away, is it's usually where you live at. It's your home. That's where the word homestead comes from in part, but it's meant to be self-sufficiency. When people talk about homesteading, they're talking about the act of trying to be as self-sufficient as they can. Now, nobody is really totally self-sufficient, but the closer you get to it, there's a lot of advantages, especially in a day and time when there's a lot of challenges to our future, shall we say, when about it hitting the fan. So essentially, the key elements of a homestead are you need some kind of land. You need a place to grow stuff. Now, it may be your backyard. And in fact, there's urban homesteads are quite an interesting little thing. There are a lot of them. Now, this has grown up, but we've been getting rain we've been getting rain every day for like 2 weeks. And it's making all the weeds grow like crazy, all the weeds and grass. And I'm still hobbled and busy with my day job, so it's kind of hard for me to really see after everything. But that's very hard. I can't find any hired help anymore, hardly. So that's another thing to talk about in it. You need land. You need sun. Okay, ain't no sun up there tonight. Ain't been a whole lot of sun this week. It's really cool. It's 77 degrees right now. But you need a place where your plants can grow and get sunlight. So you need land, sun, and you need water. Got some water in a mud hole over there. Well, that don't cut it. I do have a well back here, but a well may be your source of water. You may be in a city and you can't have a well, so city water may be your choice. And if that's the case, that's what you do. I'll walk back here to my well site, and that's it back there. That metal building is where the pump is, not the pump, the tank and the controls. The pump is actually in the ground. We'll walk up closer to it. The pump is in the ground at the wellhead there. That little black tube sticking up, that's the shaft. That's the metal casing that goes down almost 100 feet. Goes down 96 feet actually, but the well is actually drilled about 8 foot lower than that. The pump's in here. It's got electrical to it, believe it or not. It's all wired in right there, wired and plumbed into here, and I got it plumbed back to my greenhouse and to another point over there. This is intended to be my upper garden. You can see it's all grown up right now. You also need another thing called time. So time is something that you used to could buy sometimes. You could hire people to do stuff. Those days are kind of gone. It's hard to find hired help these days. So one thing you need to consider is how ambitious are you and how much you can really work. If you get hobbled up, I had a wreck. I'm still kind of crutching around a little bit. And I got a busy day job, and I got 2 YouTube channels. So my day job and my YouTube channels and everything kind of robs me of time back here. And I've got really too many ventures going on. So you need to consider how many things you want to take on. The time you got, can you really, do you have family members, kids, grandkids, who really will work for you, but now you got to remember your kids are so involved in school these days, they might not have time either. So things aren't like they used to be. And getting people to work for you these days, oh yeah, they might work for you for $25 an hour, but you're going to lose your pants trying to sell anything with that kind of labor rate. I say work for it. They'll show up for $25 an hour. Whether they work or not, it's a different question. The real workers, they usually show up for $8 an hour. The guys who charge more typically don't, in my experience, they don't work. That's what I've seen. Anyway, it's the opposite of what they tell you and what people say. Anyway, so kind of interesting, right? All right, all that aside, that's not the point of this. The point of this is try to help you figure out what to do. So again, you can have some land, sky, water. Now, you need a basic tool set. I'm gonna walk up here to the basic tools, and you know, typically you need a home. Now, you may already have a home on this place. Maybe where you live now, just go out in your backyard or front yard. Oh yeah, why did I open this up back here? I actually tried growing a garden in my front yard, but these trees are so tall that my front yard was completely in shade just right after noon. By 2 o'clock, the shade was out to the road. And what I found was that squash and a lot of plants just got covered in that powdery white mildew, the mold, because there was just so much shade on them that you know, it wasn't protecting them. The UV wasn't killing the mold, and I couldn't grow squash plants. Now I can grow squash plants back here just fine, because I've got more distance to the trees back there. I can even grow them in that upper bed, it's not so bad. But I couldn't grow them in my yard in the front. So that's one of the reasons I opened this up. Now you're not all caught with that, and of course I could have grown stuff that didn't require that. And so it was absolute necessity to open this up to Homestead by growing stuff in my front yard. But you need tools too. The good news is you don't need power tools. Matter of fact, other than the chainsaw, which everybody don't need for homestead, and everybody don't need a chainsaw. And if you do get a chainsaw, don't buy the little cheap ones. This is a place you want to spend $400 or $500 and buy a Stihl or an Echo or Husqvarna. The other chainsaws are only good for about 2 or 3 uses, and you throw them away. You know, they're just, you know, McCullough's, yeah, they used to be a chainsaw. Today they're a toy with a loud motor and a rotating chain on them that will run short for a short time, and then you throw it away just like any other cheap junk. So Craftsman, same thing, they're no better. You better, like I said, get a Husqvarna, a Stihl, or a what else did I say, Echo. You got to spend some money to get a good chainsaw these days, but you may not need a chainsaw, so that's not on the list. Power tools, tillers. Now, I spent $400 on a tiller, and I find that I can do far better with a hoe. Far better. I can do more work, do it faster. I can cut the ground better. I don't know what good a tiller is. Tiller is just something to make racket and stand behind when it goes wham, 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 wham. I don't even like them. I do have a walk behind tractor. It will take ground that's covered in grass and pulverize it and do it right. Now a BCS walk behind tractor is a good deal, and I do have one, but it's in the shop. It's been in the shop for about 3 years because the guys here just can't find what they need to fix it, and they won't. I tell them, look, a tractor sitting in the shop is no good to me. Just put a whole new motor on it. They're trying to fix a carburetor and they can't find it. But I really wanted to extend it to 30 inches, and they can't find the kit stuff from here. That's what, you know, all your urban farmers are supposed to be growing stuff at 30 inches wide, but nobody around here is really into that, so they don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to take it up to Hole in the Wall, Tennessee to get what I need. Looks like there's a dealership that deals, and I drove through there to get my black truck, the big one up front. So let's talk tools. Guys, you can set up really for, I'd say, under $500 to start a homestead if you've already got a home to stay in a backyard. If you don't have a backyard or any kind of yard to grow in, cut a deal with a neighbor. You know, rent their yard from them, even sharecrop it if you have to. I got videos on that. Curtis Stone, you know, made a living for years, $100,000 a year of sharecropping yards, not sharecropping, but renting yards of his neighbors. And those yards up in Kelowna, British Columbia, were tiny. So he's renting like 6 yards and just had tiny little lots, and he put them all together and managed to get something on the order of a quarter of an acre, and he made about $100,000 a year off of that, plus his own backyard. But even that, they were all tiny. So what do you need? You need a scoop, because there's always some big stuff to scoop. Post hole diggers. If you got a shovel, you may not need post hole diggers, but I found post hole diggers to help me a whole lot when I'm setting out plants, so I really got to dig down, like pepper plants and tomato plants. So to me, a post hole digger is indispensable. So you need a hoe. You know, it can't be, you know, what's a farmer without a hoe, right? A shovel, This is really a spade. I don't know that most of these people like the squared shovels. They're good if your ground's already broke up good, but if you want to cut in the ground, a spade's far better. So if you got to choose between a shovel, this square blunt end, and one of these, I'd pick one of these any day. You need a rake. Now you can always buy cheap rakes, but I've had one just bend on me right in the middle raking dirt. You know, so be careful what you buy. The cheap stuff will break and bend. You need a little garden scratcher and a little garden shovel here, a little garden spade and a garden digger. I didn't reprice out a garden fork. It's not a necessity if you got a shovel and a hoe, but they're good to have. So if you price out, say, a hoe, a brand new hoe, go to Lowe's, it's going to cost you about $22. You're saying, a hoe for $22? No way. Well, if you go to a flea market, you might get it for $10. So a shovel, about $30 for a good one. If you go to flea market, again, you might get it for about $10. Post hole diggers, you get that from Lowe's, you're going to be spending about $33. If you go to flea market, you'll probably spend about $15. A scoop like that is about $30 or maybe $15 if you find one at a flea market. A rake, again, don't get the little cheap ones, but yeah, a good rake's about $20, maybe $10 at a flea market. You need a garden, like I said, a little garden shovel, the garden digger. They might be $10 a piece if you buy them high end at Lowe's, but you can get those all day long at Dollar General, maybe $5 a piece. You might find them at a flea market. You're going to need a hose pipe. Now, if you get a real good hose pipe, and that's what I'd recommend if you're going to get a garden hose, I get a 3/4 inch. You may need 100 feet depending on how big your backyard is. If you get a 100-foot one, that's going to be some money. A new one's $63. I wouldn't say to go skimp on that. But, you know, maybe you won't need a 100-footer because maybe your backyard is, you know, garden's just right there. If that's the case, you know, 25, 50 foot might be enough. And you may even do irrigation. But to start out with, you may not want to spend the money on irrigation. Spray nozzle about $8 or $2 from a Dollar General version. So if you just look at the tools, if you buy high-end tools, you're going to be paying about $225 to $230. If you're going to flea market, maybe $135 for the same set of tools. Now seeds, you know, it depends on what you're going to do and how grand, how ambitious you are. You could buy a wide range of seeds for $200. For $200, you can buy a lot of seeds. Now, it may not be enough. If you're really ambitious and trying to set up a lot of stuff, $200 might not cover you. You may want more than that. So you need to consider, check out my garlic I got hanging up. I need to come up here and trim these roots out so they dry out better. Got all this garlic hanging up there. And don't ever log barn need a chandelier. Got a chandelier up in here. And some steel traps hanging around. That's what a log barn should have, right? So, I don't know if barn's really, it's more of a log building. So, I gotta move around so the skeeters don't eat me. You need to also consider you might be buying plants and stuff like that. So, if you consider it and think about it, check out the birds. This is what's beautiful about being out in the country, right? Sometimes you gotta stop and smell the roses. Well, to put it down to you, you're talking about $425 to $430 if you buy seeds and the higher end tools I was talking about. If you're buying seeds and going to the flea market and Dollar General route, maybe $335. Now you're probably going to want to buy a few other things to go with it. You might want to buy something to trellis things with, like tomatoes. You'd be twine, poles. You may want to buy a sheet or two of the cattle panel that you can get from the hardware stores, the feed stores. Best to go to the animal feed stores for that kind of stuff. You get that in 16-foot long sections. You may, hey look, if you're going to be doing a lot of gardening, if you're going to be selling stuff, you're going to be building stuff, you need a pickup truck in that case. You can buy used ones, you know, maybe $2,000 or $3,000. You might have to work on them. You get them on the lower end. You might have to put a little bit more into them. I would say, just for me, if I can't lay an 8-foot long sheet of plywood, it's 4 foot wide in the bed of it, it ain't a pickup truck, it's a car with an open air trunk. Them little short bed trucks, they're toys to me. They're toys. You need a serious pickup truck if you're going to be serious in your homesteading. You can see what I got. I got a flatbed truck. Like I got 2 of them now. So we'll go back up and look at the trucks here in a minute. But you really could get by cheap. Homes, greenhouses. Consider how you're going to lay your place out. And I decided I wanted to put a barn up there. When I decided I wanted to make this hole back here, I decided I wanted to put an underground house way back there. It's going to be probably my habitat concept now. One of them pine trees are coming up right in that area right there. That's on the edge of it. I'm sure some of you have seen that hole, the garden space. I can still do some work with this. So I decided I want to have a greenhouse there. I did build a greenhouse there. I did build a barn where I wanted to. I got my raised beds here. When I first cleared this out, this was huge piles of tree stumps and root balls and brush, mostly root balls. And I bet I spent a fortune trying to burn that stuff, but those root balls were nothing but firewalls. So eventually I hired somebody to come pull that out of here. Then I hired a bulldozer to come here and level all this out. And then I took logs left over from logging this place out, what I didn't use to make lumber with, and my barn, I did have a lot mowed up in lumber. I laid out garden beds. Oh, I got to put some Johnson grass in there real bad, lots of it. Yeah, so here's the other thing. I'm going to farmers markets on Saturday, so I only got Sunday. Saturday, and run all my errands, and Sunday is the only day I got to do anything. And I got too much to do to only have 1 day a week to work on stuff. That's another reason that I need some hired help, but you can't hire help. So when you're trying to do a market garden, got aquaponics and a worm farm, it's too much. It's really too much. Hopefully I can get help again when I get the worm farm really running. Especially when like I said, you got a busy day job. So you got to consider where you're at in life. Now if you don't have the reason I'm walking back here is to kind of show you. Believe it or not, there's an orchard back in here. It's all grown up, and I'm just got to get somebody in here to clear that out from the trees that don't need to be there, like those sweet gum trees. I don't need them in there, but there's fruit trees in there. I did have a bunch of blueberry bushes, but the deer ate them slap up. So I like to one day enclose all this over here and fill it full of wood chips so stuff don't grow back up in there and get a lot of bugs in there. Then I could go in and add in chickens, and they could eat the bugs off the wood chips. I seen where a guy was doing that. Justin Rhodes interviewed a guy who didn't even feed his chickens, and he was producing like, I don't know, 300 eggs a day just off of chickens eating bugs out of the tree stuff. Now one of the things I'm going to show you, now y'all could always spend a little money, buy some worm bins, so you don't have to buy fertilizer for your garden. But you might want a wheelbarrow also to go with your tool set, or something you may want to do like me, build a bunch of worm bins. I got a bunch of them in here. Now that took a lot of time and money. And if you don't have a home, this old tent's been set up since the spring here. Nobody's in it now. I need to strike it. But it's survived so far. But if you're trying to live in a tent, you could do that temporarily. Just know you're going to have to contend with water and rain and wind, and it could be a challenge. We've had our share of that here. So far the tent stood. Don't mean the things didn't get a little damp in there a time or two, but it's hung in. So let's walk to the front here. We'll walk through the worm beds here and head back to the front, because I'll show you the trucks I was talking about. So everybody don't have two. Now this is kind of a cross between an urban and a rural farm, urban homestead, because I am actually in the subdivision. I just happen to have the corner lot, which gave me almost 2 acres, 1.9 acres. And with the 1.9 acres, I've been able to start a pretty good worm farm back here. Got a lot of worm beds. I got to come back here and feed my worms in a minute. I'm going to take care of my rabbits, do them first. And yeah, we're gonna look at the trucks here. So here we got working on the rabbit hutches. See our rabbits in there. Trying to get more of this wire up in case some dog or something will just try to get in here again. I had a problem with a neighbor had a dog get loose a while back. Haven't had that problem in a while, I don't think, but you know, you can't be too safe with such things. So, hang on. And you have to deal with other things on your property, Like you may have places where you can't grow anything. It's just a swamp. But you know, hey, at least I get to listen to the frogs, right? The thing there's frogs, because I need something to eat all the skeeters here. I need to put out those bits again. I do sometimes, but it's just a chore to go get them all the time. It's just one more thing to do. So, yeah, I managed to build my barn, as you can see. And these are worm beds that aren't in use right now. I will probably put them in use later this summer or fall, I hope. And for those of you that don't know, I got remnants of the DCX rocket in my backyard. And this was all part of a rocket. Everybody have a rocket in their backyard? All self-respecting rednecks ought to have a rocket on blocks, right? Alright. Look it up, DCX rocket. Mosquitoes have been eating my face pretty good. So I'm going to show you a couple of trucks and we'll conclude this video. Many of you know my truck Betsy Blue. We've had a bed break out. I got to redo the beds on her. But see, this is a serious bed. This is a truck you can do some work with, and you can pull trailers. It's a 1-ton truck, dually. You know, and believe you me, this truck I have put to good use many times. A pickup truck was not enough for me. A pickup truck with a regular bed was not. I needed a flatbed truck. Seriously. And I decided I want even more flatbed. So guess what I did? Right, there's my van I bought. Filled in for the one. It's not as pretty as the one I drove before I had the wreck, but it's actually short on money right off the bat, and I had to have something quick. It's not as big as I wanted. I wanted a longer van. My green van's longer, but it's got some issues. And I got 2 vans I may make working a live out of. A traveling van and a more permanent van, bus, that is. A bug out bus and a bug out van. It could be a bug out van, but it needs a lot of work done on it. So I got my Microgreens trailer and my cargo trailer. That's one of 3 cargo trailers I got, by the way. But here's my little truck. What I say about flatbed. This is flatbed. It's 20 foot long, guys. Look how high it is where it comes up to me on. Get an idea? This is a high bed too. See? I'm walking around too much. Now this thing's got 8 forward gears and 2 reverses because it's got a shiftable rear end in it. It's got that dog thing inside you shift. Somebody has tried to open my hood. Maybe not. Alright, so you guys got air horn, air brakes. Yeah, this is a serious truck. I don't have the keys on me right now. There's the fuel tank. That's the inside over there. Yeah, this is a truck. I bought this to haul stuff so I can build out in Arizona. I figure I'll be doing some building. I'll need to haul some stuff to do some building out there. At least that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I might need it here, to be honest. It cost me some gas money to get that thing out to Arizona. But, you know, I wasn't seeing good prices on trucks out there when I looked at first. That's why I went with that here. So there you go, guys. Trucks are important. But you can get other assets over time. You might need wheelbarrows as you grow, trailers for different things. You know, especially if you're running a worm farm, you got a whole lot of compost and things like that. Or maybe you're just hauling your produce if you're actually producing a lot. Now, a lot of farmers do all that in the back of their pickup truck and have for a long time. But some find that's not enough. I've actually got a melted building sitting in the back of this trailer right now. And this trailer is growing microgreens. So that's another way you can do a homestead, guys. You can grow microgreens in your living room. You don't even have to have a yard or even rent a yard. You can grow in your living room. I got videos doing that, but since I don't have AC and I need to run a dehumidifier here in the southeast because it's so darn humid, I set all this up in this trailer. We'll do a quick view inside. Now this trailer cost me $3,500, and with the AC unit I had to put on top of it, they had to redo a little bit of the roof. That cost me another $2,000. So $5,500 in the trailer, plus racks and lights and trays and everything to grow the microgreens. So you know, you can easily get north of $7,000 in a hurry setting all this up. So you need to grow and produce. I just got to find the right keys here, and we'll go in. Is that it? If that's it. I only got a key or two to pick one here. And I picked correctly. So this is another option for Homestead, guys. Got it growing on in here. We'll have to fight weeds. As much stuff as you do outside. You got to fight mold and fruit flies if they get in. You got to keep the humidity down, keep the air flowing. Since a dehumidifier is basically a heater, let me get this stuff out of here. There's some mold on it. Then you got to have AC if you're here in the hot weather. South. All right, guys. Well, that's a whole nother vision on what a homestead can be. It could be in a trailer. A homestead could be in a trailer. Is that self-sufficiency? Well, maybe I need solar to get this thing off grid. But it's heading in that direction, guys. It's the ability to grow your own food, grow food to sell. Because, you know, a homestead, one, it's growing your own food, and two, it's also being able to hopefully make a living from your homestead. That can take many different forms. You could set up a blacksmith shop, or just any kind of shop, honestly, where you make money from your place, your property. You know, homesteads typically do old-fashioned things, though. Maybe you'd bake clay pots. Maybe you would do wool or some kind of clothing. Maybe your wife, the lady in the family, you might be the lady in the family, might do weaving, some kind of clothing, garments. Because when it gets a fan, these garments we wear ain't gonna last long. You might be a cobbler, you know. Shoes don't last long either. You say the thing is, your garden may not be that big. Maybe it hasn't that much land for all that stuff. So you want to offset it with some other skill. You may have two things going. Just make sure you can handle it all, especially if you got a day job. And if you're retired, or hey, if you got your little homestead's making you a living, then you got it made. That's all I got to say about it. So once again, don't take a lot of tools, but you know, as you grow, you start adding to it. You know, look at all my stuff here. I got a whole wall of tools over here, and we use them all. And I got tools put up where they're locked up, so people won't get into them. But yeah, you start accumulating tools and various assets. If you got people working for you, excuse me, your tools will end up anywhere and everywhere, all over the place, and be left out in the rain and grow legs and walk off. So there you are, my friends. Made many videos here by this log barn, so this is a good place to end one here today. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, bang the update notification bell, and click all. This is a great time to buy your seeds. You can still plant stuff for the summer, and you can grow crops and food. I talked about seeds earlier, so please go to my link to True Leaf Market for your seed needs. You're supposed to say all this stuff in front of the video because very few people watch a video this far. That's why all your YouTubers say these things up front. I just got carried away with telling you what I had to tell you. Anyway, so I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you for watching.